Welcome to a fresh hour of HQ. I'm Tommy Tran with you to the top of the hour, getting you ready for tonight's Monday night doubleheader. But first, an update to Cincinnati's franchise quarterback who left yesterday's game. Bengals star Joe Burrow suffered a turf toe injury in the win against the Jaguars. Per multiple reports, that injury will require surgery, taking him out for the next 3 months. That means backup quarterback Jake Browning will lead the Bengals, who are off to a 2-0 start to the season. Bengals are part of a group of teams that are 2-0. 8 teams as of right now, and since the expanded playoffs in 2020, nearly 80% of those teams made the postseason. Bucs, Chargers, and Raiders can join that group with a win tonight. Tampa Bay is on the road in Houston tonight to take on the Texans. Bucs looking to start 2-0 for the 5th straight season. Houston, on the flip side, first Monday Night Football game at home since 2018 when they beat the Texans 34-17. All right, to break down not one but 2 Monday Night Football games is Douzable and Rand Carthon. Guys, great to be with you. Looking for the doubleheader tonight. Let's start with C.J. Stroud on this Houston offense, which went through some changes with Bobby Slowick last year. Nick Caley comes in here. Lige, I'm going to give you first word. Early returns weren't great against the Rams. What was the assessment of this particular group?
Well, there was going to be some moving parts, obviously, on the offensive line, right? So there were some struggles there. But me and Rand were talking about this earlier. They struggled to run the football, right? And the easiest way to take pressure off a new offensive line and a quarterback is to be able to run the ball effectively. Agumba Wale comes into the game, who's been sure-handed. He coughs off the ball late in that game where they had a chance to actually win that game. So they have to get the run game going. They have to get more out of that run game. And then also, outside of Nico Collins, Rand, who is going to be the guy to step up and make plays, right? Christian Kirk was out that game. I thought Jaden Higgins could potentially step up. Dalton Schultz had a few catches. Somebody needs to be a consistent number 2 to Nico Collins, because that also will take pressure off C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at this offense, for them in week 1 to only have 265 total yards, but the big one was 2 for 9 on third down.
Yeah.
And that's the crucial down. Lige, you know that.
Yeah.
It's either win third down on the defense or you got to move the drive on offense. Yeah. And Houston wasn't able to do that. And overall, this team has to be just more disciplined. They had 11 penalties in week 1, so you got to be able to cut back on that. And again, I'm going to give you another nod as a defensive guy. When a defense holds an offense to 14 points,
you're supposed to win that game.
You got to find a way to score 15.
You got to win that game.
You got to find a way to score 15.
Got to win that game.
And so this defense has shown the propensity to be able to stop defenses and make it hard. And this offense, again, we talked about it even with Detroit. Yeah. In week 1, new coordinator, learning how to call a game with these guys, what these teams like, what these quarterbacks like. Because now, you know, contrary to popular belief, C.J. Stroud has more of a voice this year in the offense. So him and Nick Caley are learning how to work together and how to manage a game together.
Well, getting back to your point on third down, you know what also hurt them guys? The inefficiency to have a productive first and second down offense, right? When you're in third and long, it allows the defensive line, especially that Rams defensive line, to pin their ears back. So they have to be more efficient, Tommy, on first and second down. You cannot be in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, especially with the issues with the offensive line, and expect C.J. Stroud to have success.
This was a unit that traded away Pro Bowler Laramie Tunsil, didn't re-sign Stephon Diggs. So, again, we're going to see some changes. But to your point, Rand, we always expect that year 3 bump with C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans out in Houston. Well, let's go from one team to another in a player spotlight presented by Auto Trader. And we're talking about one Baker Mayfield. And if you're a Baker Mayfield or Bucs fan,
look away.
Yeah, you might want to look away.
Look away.
1-7 record on Monday Night Football. The only victory for Baker was at the Jets in 2019. So, guys, Baker Mayfield looking to buck that trend here, right? You give me a big smile here. How does he accomplish that tonight?
Well, they're going to have to start faster. They're going to have to start faster, and they're going to have to actually close out. I mean, they were able to close out a game, but they're going to have to play a full game. This Houston team isn't going to lay down. This is a DeMeco Ryans-led team. Lige's played under the tutelage of DeMeco, and he knows what that message is going to be. So the Bucs are going to have to start fast, but then they're going to have to keep their foot on the throats of this Texans defense and be able to finish.
This is a significantly better, and this is all due respect to the Atlanta Falcons, significantly better defense Baker will face this week with the Houston Texans than he faced last week with the Atlanta Falcons. And you saw it right there, 1-7 on Monday Night Football. He literally has to buck that trend. And I have another stat for you. He's lost 9 straight primetime games. And it's crazy because, to me, if Baker doesn't have the interceptions he had last year, he's probably top three in the MVP race last year for how he played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, to Brand's point, to me, Bucky Irvin has to get going a lot sooner in the run game. Now, they used him in the pass game really well last week, but they got to get him going in the run game because that, again, takes pressure off a quarterback who has struggled in primetime games. I think Bucky Irvin is big. Emeka Egbuka was played out of his mind last week, also scoring that touchdown with 59 seconds to essentially give them the win in that game. I know people were wondering what will happen with Chris Godwin being out. He's really stepped up and become essentially wide receiver 1B on that team to Mike Evans. But Bucky Irvin, I think, is the key for them this week because if you get in third and long situations with that cast of defensive ends for the Houston Texans, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, it's going to be a long day, especially because Tristan Wirfs is not at left tackle right now.
Yeah, they would be licking their chops. We'll talk about Wirfs in just a second here. Lee, let me throw it back at you because if Baker doesn't buck this trend, it's going to start creeping into like Kirk Cousins territory.
Literally.
Start doing some of these things. Do players, are they aware of this, quarterbacks especially?
Oh, without a doubt. Now, as a player, you try not to read into it, right? Because every game is important, whether it's prime time, a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game. But again, you don't want that connotation attached to your name that when all the eyes of the nation are on you, you don't play your best football. So this is something I guarantee Baker has heard, he's thought about, and he doesn't want to be 1-7 on Monday night. He doesn't want to lose 9 straight games in prime time. He wants to buck this trend, just knowing the competitor that he is, and I guarantee he's going to try to go out there and have a valiant effort tonight.
Rand, let me follow up. When you mentioned Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin injured. This was, as for Jason Light's team, he's been building this over the last couple of years, extending the right guys, bringing back the core guys to make it yet another run and potentially a Super Bowl run. But when you're hit with some of these injuries from a team-building perspective, how much of a hit is it? How do you navigate some of that early on?
Well, I'll say this. I think the Tristan Wirfs injury is going to be it's a big loss for them, right? Because like Lige said, you have to block Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and they move those guys around.
Yep.
And Lige will tell you, you're always looking for the pigeon.
No question.
You're always
big fish. Looking for that fish.
You're always looking for that guy. In the personnel world, when we're given the advanced scouting report, we call it the player to pick on, right? And you're always looking for that person. And when you have 2 dominant pass rushers like Danielle Hunter and Will, and so you have those guys and you rotate them, good luck to whoever that guy is, right? So that's a problem. Not having Chris Godwin isn't as big of a loss because, like Lige said, Emeka Egbuka, they're the same guy.
Literally.
He is just a younger version. They can play all 3. They're tough. They can insert in the run game. And people within that Bucs organization will tell you, yes, Mike Evans, prolific. He'll go down as probably the greatest wide receiver in that franchise's history. But it was Chris Godwin that made that offense go. And his skill set and the versatility of his skill set. Well, now you draft his replacement. And you're not in a hurry. Yes, you want to have your top 3 guys on the field together, but you're not in a hurry to get Chris Godwin back at this point because of the young buck, Emeka Egbuka, and where he is. And he's going to continue to play a big role for them. And so they're well positioned to replace Chris Godwin. Tristan Wirfs, not so much.
Quick thought, final thought there?
Yeah, again, when you look at what Emeka Egbuka has done, and we heard ravings about him throughout the whole offseason, and I was like, I think everybody needs to temper their expectations, but I was wrong because what I saw last week versus the Atlanta Falcons, he's on that cusp of potentially being wide receiver 1 on that team. And again, you talked about it, his toughness to insert in the run game. I don't think it's talked about enough how aggressive he is blocking in the run game. That is a big facet of this team and how they want to run the football. But just the clutch catches, clutch catch after clutch catch, take pressure off of Mike Evans. And to Rand's point, now you don't have to rush Chris Godwin back now because you took another big loss with Jalen McMillan going down because you wish you had him in the roster as well. But now with Emeka Egbuka stepping up, you're like, well, Chris Godwin, maybe we can wait till like week 5 or 6 to make sure you're 100% healthy. That way we can make this run to the Super Bowl.
Nice luxury to have that depth and have that depth perform and play well. In terms of the game tonight, Rand, who do you like tonight's game?
I'm going with Houston. I think they're due for a game, particularly on offense. And you guys have heard me talk about it. You'll continue to hear me talk about complementary football. And I expect to see that out of the Houston Texans tonight, them playing complementary football. And unfortunately, Unfortunately for Baker, he will not buck this halftime trend tonight, so I'm going with Houston.
Yes, I know Houston is laying the points, but I like them at home. Baker Mayfield, until you show me that you can win on Monday Night Football or in primetime, and again, a lot of it, sometimes it's not on him. Sometimes the opposition gets the football last. But until this trend is bucked, I believe in C.J. Stroud riding the ship with Nick Caley, to your point. Sometimes it takes a coordinator a little bit to get going and understand the skill set of his players. I believe that happens this week. But also, I talked about it earlier, this Texans defense is for real. You talked about it. Give up 14, 15 points, you're supposed to win the game. And that's a Rams team that just put up 30-plus on the Tennessee Titans, who actually had a really good game versus the Denver Broncos the week before. So I like the Houston Texans at home. Give me them -2.5.
We see the total at 42.5. I like the first half under of 21 if you can find it. Again, new coordinators, off to a slow start, not wanting to make any mistakes, and then perhaps if things get wild in the second half, maybe that doesn't
You guys
go
I got to find a tutor for these.
For these,
oh, we'll get you there.
Plus or minus, we'll get you right. We'll get you right now.
We'll get you there. Game day recap there, Sundays at 8:30, which Rand's a part of. And I'm sorry you have to sit next to Pete for an hour and a half, you know.
Get my man on
Not
the
much to
promo,
learn
too,
from there.
man.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
Get my man on the promo, man.
We're working on it. We'll keep the fellas around to tackle that Sunday, or second Monday Night Football game, rather. AFC West showdown between the Bolts and the Silver and Black.